Angeles Division. At that location, they found 2 deceased adults, a male and a female. Through the night, working with the coroner's office, they were able to identify them definitively as Rob and Michelle Reiner. We have our Robbery Homicide Division handling the investigation. They worked throughout the night on this case and were able to take into custody Nick Reiner, a suspect in this case. He was subsequently booked for murder and is being held on $4 million bail. Pretty much that's what I can share at this point, but again, a very, very tragic incident.
Can you talk about, I know Deputy Hamilton talked about the search warrant and how important that was because of something inside. Can you talk about where that played a role in this and what you guys needed in order to gain access?
Yeah, you know, we use search warrants to be able to further our investigation, as you know, on all of these cases. I wouldn't be in a position to talk specifically about what the object of the search warrant was, but it's a critical piece of our investigations to be able to ensure down the road a prosecution. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody.
So the very latest on 2 different breaking news stories. I first want to start with the main reason why the FBI and Los Angeles County officials were gathered talking about the arrests of 4 individuals in a foiled California New Year's Eve terror plot. And they were sharing some more information about this. Federal authorities saying that they disrupted a credible terrorist threat over the weekend, arresting 4 alleged members of a radical pro-Palestinian extremist group accused of planning coordinated New Year's Eve bombings in Los Angeles, saying that they plan to target 5 separate locations across the area. Now, we were hearing from authorities, and they indicated that while there were 5 separate locations, they will not be identifying those specific locations. The FBI telling Fox News Digital that the members are self-identified as part of a radical offshoot of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, an extremist group motivated by pro-Palestinian anti-law enforcement and anti-government ideology. So according to the FBI, the 4 individuals were allegedly planning coordinated bombing attacks on New Year's Eve using improvised explosive devices. So we did want to share that with you as we continue to follow the very latest. And we were also hearing from the LAPD police chief there, Jim McDonald, as he was also sharing the very latest in a breaking news story that we've been continuing. That is Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, now arrested, charged with murder after his parents' killing. So we just learned that information there from the police chief. He is booked for murder, Rob Reiner's son, and a little bit more information as we are continuing to follow all of the latest developments. The son of Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner arrested, charged with murder, and is now behind bars. 32-year-old Nick Reiner is his name. He was arrested yesterday and then booked today. The police chief saying that he is charged with murder after Rob Reiner and his wife were found dead inside their Los Angeles home. Los Angeles City first responders first called to the couple's Brentwood home at around 3:30 p.m. local time Sunday for what was initially reported as a medical emergency. When Los Angeles fire paramedics arrived, that is where they found 78-year-old Rob Reiner and his 68-year-old wife, Michelle, pronounced dead at the scene. So we're just hearing from the police chief as he addressed this breaking news on this Monday, stating that Nick Reiner has been booked for murder in his parents' killing. So we did want to share that with you. A live look outside of the couple's home as we have been continuing to see the media. We've also been seeing folks arriving at these front gates, and we have been seeing some leaving mementos there at the front gates. So we're going to continue to follow all of these developments. We are expecting a separate update from police at some point in time, but we were just hearing from the police chief at another event event, and I did want to share that with you. In the meantime, we are going to step away for a brief moment. We have a lot more to get to. We'll be right back. We do have a new live feed into our newsroom right now. It's a little unclear as to exactly what this is about, but let's listen in.
I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the jury. This is a very difficult case from the beginning. Take time out of their schedule to hear such days of evidence, complex evidence, and a difficult case, and to come up with the decision they did. Without the jurors, our system doesn't work, and my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of those who participated and the alternates who were chosen as well. I'd like to thank the Cohasset Police, the State Police, the Medical Examiner's Office, and the Crime Lab for their hard work. It was an incredible effort. If you think about what you saw during the trial, there was all sorts of forensic evidence. They left no stone unturned. They viewed 60 witnesses, almost 60 witnesses testified at trial, and they interviewed even more people. So while you saw a good part of what we had, it was only a small fraction of the time and effort that they put in to get that evidence. And they went to dumpsters, to landfills, to dumps as well, to transfer stations, department stores, lumber stores, CVS, just to gather all this evidence, which was critical in this case. And that effort should not be forgotten at how hard it was. For without those tools and the evidence that they provided us, that the trial team, which I had the utmost confidence, very confident, professional people, long-term prosecutors in the office, had great tools to work with, but they also great people in their own right. And they put on a very, very great case in a difficult setting. Now, we've seen other cases where we've not had a body, but this is the first one I can remember we've had a first-degree conviction, and I just want to thank them profusely. I know that a number of them passed up vacations, work holidays, and they know what's expected of them. We took the job to speak for victims, and they did one heck of a job speaking for Anna's family. And I just wanted to also to say we did hear from Anna's sister, and her comment was, justice has been served, and we agree wholeheartedly with her comments as well. But they never lost sight of that, and I'd like to just personally thank Greg Connor, Tracy Cusack, Ian Yaz, and we have the Cohasset Police, Harrison, and the State Police, and the head of my victim services, Kristen Collins. Also Laura McLaughlin, who's not here. She did a lot of the early work in the case, and so we had a great team, and I just wanted to profusely thank them. It's been a great day for us in the office. I'd ask Greg if he wants to say a word or two. Greg Connor.
Thank you, Michael. It was a great honor to work with Tracy and Ann on this trial, two of the finest lawyers I've ever got to know, and also to go against Kelly and Larry, who are extremely good lawyers. But I want to say thank you to our law enforcement partners, but in particular, one person who worked on this case day after day from the beginning was Sergeant Harrison Schmidt. When Cohasset lost one of their own, they stopped everything and tried to find this woman, and one person never gave up on that case, and it would be Sergeant Harrison Schmidt. Thank you very much.
Harrison is here today, so thank you, Harrison. So I just want to end and close by, let's not lose sight of the fact that Anna's 3 young children will be without a mother, and especially at this time, difficult time of year, and hopefully going in the future, that we all wish them a bright future going ahead. But let's remember in a special way the loss they suffered, and thank you all for coming.
What will happen with the children?
I'm not going to answer any questions of that. That's for another.
Any more reaction from her mother or her family?
We just heard from the sister. That was the only, so I passed it on. We heard that they called, and I passed it on to you.
Will they be making impact statements?
The judge, they're working with the trial team to schedule impact statements. I can't tell you in what form they're going to come in, but the opportunity has been extended, and I expect we will hear something, and they're working on that now.
What do you think actually for sentencing?
Excuse me?
For sentencing?
Well, there's a mandatory sentence of life, so, but there are other issues. They also developed other charges, as many of you have now heard, that there was a plea earlier to other charges, so that's being worked on. So you'll hear from the lawyers at the time of sentencing.
What do you think actually brought this to guilty? You have no body, circumstantial evidence. What do you think was the strongest part of the case that convinced the jury this was guilty?
I don't think there's any one thing. I think it was the combined effort of working together with our law enforcement partners, the ME and other professionals. The work that was done on the forensics, I think, was important, but actually without that and without people explaining it in the courtroom, we'd have nothing, and I think they all did an awesome job.
Mike,
and I'm just going to say one other thing, because someone mentioned, it's not about winning or losing. It's about getting the right answer, and this was the right answer. And so we don't look at cases as a wins or losses. We look at getting justice for someone. So let's not lose sight of that fact.
Walsh pled guilty to 2 charges ahead of time, right when jury selection was about to start. Did that change the way you approached this case and your attorneys? Obviously, they had been looking at 3 different charges. Now it was 1 murder charge.
You can hear right from the
case was always going to be presented in the same way. The evidence was the evidence, and we wanted to make sure the jury had everything that they needed to make a determination. The change of plea was an interesting dynamic, but when it came down to it, we wanted to make sure the jury had all the facts.
Greg, what do you think it was? The online searches? Do you think it was the surveillance video? What do you think?
Or the emotional testimony to people?
I can't tell you. That would be a question for the jurors. We tried to give them all the information we had. We had it from multiple different factors, whether it be surveillance video, the text messages, the internet searches. But what we had was a very thorough investigation that gave the lawyers in this case an excellent chance to try and give the jury what they needed.
Were you surprised that he didn't testify, and what did you want to ask him on the stand?
You don't have enough time for that.
I think that's probably better not said.
But were you surprised that he didn't?
The judge was.
I think it's always up to the defendant to make that decision. I think it's the hardest decision the defendant can make. And so I'm sure he put a lot of thought into it. We were prepared that if he did testify, we had a number of questions we wanted to have answered, but we understand it's his right not to.
So the question?
Yeah, over the past couple of years, a lot has been made of your office and the handling of different cases. Do you hope what happened here today restores some of that perceived lack of faith the public has?
I don't know. One loss of a high visibility case determines what happens in our office. We handle cases all the way from the bottom to the top, and we treat them all the same. There's no such thing as a single important case. This was a critical case, and you saw on display some of the smartest people and some of the toughest workers and investigators who have always been with me. So I think that sometimes you don't like what a jury has to say, but that's our system of justice. You present the case to a jury, and you have to abide by, at least I do. I took a constitutional oath. So I would just say today, I clearly are much happier with the outcome today, and I'm very happy with the work that was done by the professionals who work both in law enforcement and the district attorney's office, and really, I couldn't be happier. So
a lot has been made of you personally, obviously, over the last couple of years. We haven't really had a chance to hear from you. How have you been doing, and what does this say today?
Well, the good or bad news is, having been in office for a number of years in politics, unlike my time on Beacon Hill, I get to speak out. But many of you know that now as a district attorney, that if I speak out that I interfere with an individual's right to a fair trial, then that obviously weighs heavily upon me. So I am now free to speak today on this trial with some limitations. And so not hearing from me, obviously, then I don't want to tip the jury or tip the scales and let those cases go forward without putting a thumb on the scales of justice. And, you know, I took the job to speak for victims, and we focus on victims. And that's what I'm going to continue to do through my tenure. So I just want to thank you all. I know this is, you know, a long period of time, and we have to come to the courthouse, and we do have some calls to make and try to reach out to some other family members and some other people. But thank you all, and hopefully it brings to a conclusion a very sad chapter in the history of Arna's family.
Thank you.
So I did want to play out those brief remarks as we're following yet another breaking news story out of Dedham, Massachusetts. Brian Walsh now found guilty in his wife's murder. This is a post there from the New York Post stating that he has been found guilty of murdering and dismembering his wife, Anna. The jury in this murder trial of Brian Walsh today found the Cohasset, Massachusetts man guilty of first-degree murder for killing and dismembering his wife, Anna Walsh, before dumping her remains in area dumpsters. The verdict in this high-profile case comes just days after the defense and prosecution delivered closing arguments in Norfolk Superior Court on December 12th. So this was a 9-day trial. The prosecution presented a large amount of incriminating evidence, while the defense claimed Anna died unexpectedly and not at the hands of her husband. We were in breaking news when that decision came down, and I did want to play that out for you for the very first time.
Yes.
Juror in seat number 14, is that your verdict?
Yes.
And last juror, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Your Honor, all jurors answer affirmatively that the guilty of first degree is their verdict.
The verdict may be recorded. Please be seated.
Be seated.
So, jurors, I want to thank you for your service on this case. I know that it went a little bit more quickly than we were expecting, but your service has been substantial. We're in the third week of this trial, and I appreciate all you did to be obedient to those rules that I placed on you, and for your conscientious service as jurors in this case. I will be back to meet with you privately in a moment. You should feel a weight lifting off of you right now, because I'm releasing of you of those requirements. You can talk to anyone about this case, or no one at all. You can do whatever research you wish to do about the case, or not at all. You can go back on social media if you want, news media, and I'm supposed to release you from that burden of being open-minded. But I hope you always go through your lives with open hearts and open minds, new experiences and new people. I'll be back in just a minute to meet with all of you privately. Thank you very much, jurors.
Jurors exiting, all rise. Jurors, follow me, please.
When are we going to be in a position to have the victim impact statements and conduct the sentencing in this case?
Your Honor, I believe that we could do it as early as Wednesday of this week, but I believe if it's available to the court, we can also do Thursday or Friday.
I know that Friday is definitely not a good day for the court because I have other things scheduled. I anticipated the trial was going to be running, so I scheduled other things, although we could do it Friday morning. Does the defense have any preferences to the timing of the sentencing?
Your Honor, given the Commonwealth's recommendations, we'd actually request Wednesday at any point, if that's possible.
All right, I think it will be. I'll just, the only reason that I wouldn't do it on Wednesday is I do want the victim impact statements, regardless of the implications of the jury's verdict. It may have bearing on my sentencing on the other counts to which he pled guilty.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. All rise.
Matter is continued to December 17th at 9 a.m. for sentence and position.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Court stands in recess.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Sue.
So all of this happening moments ago inside a Dedham, Massachusetts courtroom where Brian Walsh was found guilty in his wife's murder. We do see that he is being handcuffed there right now. And we were hearing from the judge that the sentencing will take place on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time after the victim impact statements are read. Anna Walsh's body has never been found since she disappeared on New Year's Day in 2023. That was the very same day his wife was last seen alive. Walsh, on that day, went to multiple pharmacies and hardware stores to buy heavy-duty cleaning supplies. That is according to prosecutors. So the jury finding him guilty in his wife's murder as well as her dismemberment. We are going to step away for a brief moment. We're continuing to follow a number of major stories, and the next one takes us out to Providence, Rhode Island, where police have released a person of interest in the Brown University shooting. They are still searching for the suspect at this hour. So far, police have not provided an update to the media today. Coming up after the break, though, we are going to be speaking with Brown University student Ian Ritter, who is also a reporter for the Brown Daily Herald. We're going to be speaking with him live in just a moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinue. We are continuing to monitor all of the developments out of Providence, Rhode Island, as police have released a person of interest in the Brown University shooting. That person of interest was detained after the shooting that killed 2 students and injured 9 others. Law enforcement authorities determined there was no basis to keep that individual in custody. That is the latest information that they shared during a late-night news conference. And happening right now, they are still searching for a suspect. Now, they did provide a little bit of surveillance video, but they're asking for the public's help to identify that person. Meanwhile, the community is continuing to grieve and come together in light of this tragedy. And I did want to bring in Brown University student Ian Ritter to speak more on this. Ian, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here on Live Now from Fox.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I have to imagine, Ian, so many people are still trying to wrap their minds around the tragedy that happened on the campus of Brown University. How are you and your friends and your family holding up?
Yeah, so I was very lucky to not be on campus at the time of the incident. I was already home for the holidays. But I got a text around 4:10 on Saturday from one of my news editors that there was something going on at the engineering building. So from then on, I've basically been on my phone, calling, texting people, making sure everybody's okay, and really trying to figure out what's going on. And as a reporter for the school newspaper, we've really been trying to piece together the student perspectives and really how everybody's feeling. I think people are looking for information, and I think right now we just don't have that to offer.
And so you've been speaking with a lot of your friends on campus. You also had a chance to speak with one of the victims, Spencer Yang, who was shot. What did he share with you during that conversation?
Yeah, so when I spoke with Spencer, I believe it was that day, later that day, he was in an economics review session in that building. It's mainly the engineering and physics building, but it's used for a ton of different classes when there's open classroom space. So the review session was just ending as it was being led by an undergraduate TA when they heard somebody come into the room and with a gun. They heard gunshots. They heard him yell something that as of the people we've spoken to, they didn't make it out, but or they couldn't hear what it was. And Spencer ended up diving down between seats in this lecture hall while other students rushed to the front of the classroom to try and take cover. Spencer was unfortunately shot in the leg, but he said that after the gunman left, he ended up helping out students who were around him who had also been injured. Once police cleared the room, they cleared the room of the uninjured first. Spencer was helped out. He walked out with the help of a police officer and then was transported to the hospital in a police vehicle. Spencer, as of now, is fine. When I spoke to him, he was very even, but I think it was quite an experience for all those students in the classroom, yeah.
I have to imagine everyone is still in a state of shock. We've been hearing about acts of courage and heroism, you know, helping others while injured, Spencer being among those. I know all of this was incredibly chaotic. Did he share with you at all any glimpse of the gunman? I know that people were hearing the gunman shout something that they couldn't make out, but anything about the demeanor or about the, you know, the appearance of the gunman that he shared with you?
Yeah, so I asked Spencer that, and he said that he did not get a view of the gunman. Once he heard gunshots, he ducked down immediately and was taking cover. And of the students that I've spoken to, nobody really has had a clear view of this man. All that we really know is from that surveillance footage that was released of a man dressed in all black leaving the building. But beyond that, we really don't have any new or old information to offer.
And Ian, I am going to play that video for our viewers right here. This is just the brief snippet that you've seen, that we've all seen. This is the only piece of information, video-wise, that police have shared with us. When you were talking with Spencer, did what he shared with you, and I know that it was just the briefest of moments, he wasn't focused necessarily on the gunman, but did his description match the person in this video?
He didn't really have a description at all, unfortunately. He was between chairs in the lecture hall and never really got a clear view at all.
So I have to ask you this, Ian. It has been several days now. There was a person of interest in custody, police releasing that person, and now, they're looking for whoever was responsible for this attack. I have to imagine that is creating a lot of unease.
Yeah, so students, as I said earlier, are really just looking for information. They really want to know what was happening. I think the feeling around campus, or at least from the people that I've spoken from, is people just want to be able to feel safe. They were locked down on Saturday for 8+ hours in different buildings across campus. There was a security perimeter. Students couldn't leave their dorms. And now that there is not a person of interest or anybody currently detained, I think students are uneasy from what we've heard. But many students now are leaving campus to go home after final examinations were canceled in person. And the university has offered several different options for students on how to move forward after that academically. But I think right now students are really focused on regrouping and really figuring out exactly what happened.
You were saying that as soon as this happened, you started receiving a lot of texts. So when it came to the response from the university itself, and you and I were talking about this offline, saying, one never really imagines that it's going to happen, to you or to your peers. When it came to preparing for a situation such as this, did you feel like you were prepared at Brown University? Were there discussions about, how to best prepare yourself in case of a scenario like this?
Direct. I do know that every semester they do, or I believe it's every semester, they do a test of the emergency siren. There's the emergency alert system that we get through texts, calls, and through our email. So all of that did end up going out to students, I believe. I got all the texts, the calls, and the emails. I was not on campus to hear the siren go off. But I think since it takes time for information to be spread, those alerts may have come later than some students would have wanted. Word of the shooting spread across campus and initially got to me not through the university, but through people texting me about it. And then a few minutes later, we did hear from the university. So it's hard for me to speculate, and I don't want to speculate on how the university exactly responded, but we did get information, and as more information was released, we did in fact get it. It also took the university a little bit, I think, to figure out exactly where they were going to move students. Because students were locked down in buildings, and later that night, students were evacuated from all non-residential buildings to the athletic center. But that just took time, and everything takes time.
And you were also sharing with me, you're a reporter for the Brown Daily Herald. This was, one of your, first assignments. As you're wearing two hats, and it's a very difficult situation. You are being emotionally impacted by this tragedy, and you're also reporting on this very tragedy at the university that you attend. As you take a look at through the lens of journalism, what are some of those questions that you have been asking that you want answered, that that your fellow students really want the answers to?
Yeah, so I think as a student journalist, it's really part of our job to make sure that we're not crossing any boundaries with friends and with everything. Initially, a lot of the texts that I was getting were from my friends, but I have to make sure that I'm speaking to people that I'm not personally connected with so that I don't have conflicts of interest. And it's really just been like compartmentalizing. I think that throughout the night, as I learned more, it would get posted online and then I'd text my friends. But it was really just a process of making sure that as I got information, we would post it online and also make sure that everybody else knew about it. I'm also fortunate that of all the people who I have messaged personally, they were not injured, but we're still, I haven't totally figured out if I've known any of the injured personally. But for now, it's really just been a balancing act of making sure that like I'm okay and that we're taking shifts with our reporting and making sure that everybody is not overwhelming themselves. But at the same time, as students, we have this unique perspective to report because we're either there or we know how the university works. So we're really the best suited to be able to tell people exactly what's going on as we're live updating our website and our peers.
Ian, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here, and we'd love to continue to keep in contact. As you said, you know, boots on the ground. You know what is going on at Brown University as a student and also as a student journalist. So no doubt we'll be speaking with you again soon, but we appreciate you taking the time to join us here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And we are also continuing to follow all of the latest developments from Providence, Rhode Island. As of now, law enforcement has not shared when they plan to give another update. They did have one late last night, and that is when they announced that they would be releasing the person of interest that they had been questioning for hours. Right now, they're still searching for a suspect. We're going to step away for a break. We do have a lot more coverage to come. Stay with us. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. We do have a lot of events that we haven't yet been able to play out as we continue to follow a number of breaking news stories. Really just moments ago, Secretary of State Marco Rubio took part in a signing ceremony with the Foreign Minister of Paraguay. They were signing an inter-country agreement right there, and we were hearing just some brief remarks from Secretary Rubio, so I did want to play that out for you right now.
Thank you all for being here today. Thank you to the Foreign Minister of Paraguay for joining us here today. This is a historic step in our partnership between our two countries. This status of forces agreement it demonstrates our shared commitment to security, regional security. The biggest threat in the Western Hemisphere that we face is the threat of transnational criminals networks, transnational terrorist networks. We've said this, if you see it in our in the document we put out just about 10 days ago in our national security strategy. If you look at the fundamental problem in the hemisphere, the most serious problem we have in our hemisphere is these transnational terrorist organizations who are not ideologically terrorist in many cases, but are financial and economic in their basis, but nonetheless are operating as terrorist organizations and threaten the stability and security of the region. It's a problem we see in multiple places, and we need strong partners to confront them. We need strong partners in the region that understand that that's the biggest threat in our hemisphere and are committed to working with us to confronting it. And we can do it in a way that also respects the sovereignty of our partner nations. So what we signed today is a status of forces agreement that allows us to formalize a partnership that already exists and that we want to build upon, that allows us to train together, that allows us to advance the transfer of equipment that they need for their own security, that allow us to share intelligence in real time, that allow us to operate together when necessary, and in the case of any contingencies. By the way, this includes having an opportunity to very quickly partner on humanitarian responses, be it to natural disasters or anything else. So we're excited for this for the ability to do this today. Paraguay is among our strongest allies in the world, but certainly in the region, and we want to continue to find concrete ways to work together and operate together. And by the way, this extends beyond the security realm. This is not just a security matter. This agreement is about security, but we also want to extend and expand our cooperation on the economic front. There's a lot of good things, positive Paraguay, tremendous potential to make Paraguay a country in partnership with American economic interests in a way that further binds our two countries together and makes us stronger. So we're very grateful for that. Quiero darle las gracias al ministro Lecano por estar con nosotros en el día de hoy para firmar este acuerdo, un acuerdo sumamente importante. La amenaza primordial que existe en el hemisferio es el terrorismo transnacional de diferentes carteles y otras operaciones que existen en la región, que realmente es una amenaza directa a la seguridad nacional de Estados Unidos, pero una amenaza a la seguridad nacional de nuestros aliados y países vecinos aquí en el hemisferio. Esto fue hecho claro en los documentos, el documento de estrategia que salió hace solamente una semana, que dice muy claramente que la amenaza más seria que enfrentamos en esta región son estos grupos que en algunos países y en algunas regiones del hemisferio aún tienen más poder todavía que los propios gobiernos que existen ahí. Obviamente Paraguay no es uno de ellos, pero hay otros países que directamente el gobierno y la habilidad de gobernar su espacio y su territorio nacional es amenazado por la presencia de estos grupos armados, criminales y terroristas. Y enfrentarnos a esa amenaza es prioridad. Hoy firmamos este acuerdo, un acuerdo que respeta la soberanía de Paraguay, pero crea también la oportunidad de trabajar aún más acerca y conjunto para enfrentarnos a esta amenaza. Encima de eso, también crea la oportunidad de poder entrenar juntos, cooperar juntos, intercambiar información directa y rápidamente, y encima de eso también responder a cualquier caso humanitario que exista en el futuro, no simplemente en Paraguay, en la región, porque entonces posiblemente las operaciones sean del territorio de Paraguay junto con Paraguay, pero será una respuesta a un tema humanitario que exista en otra parte de la región, en otro país. Pero tener esa presencia ahí es sumamente importante. Y no solamente se limita a eso, obviamente este es un acuerdo de seguridad que firmamos hoy, pero aquí lo que existe es la oportunidad de cooperar también a nivel económico, donde existe muchas oportunidades para utilizar la potencia que tiene Paraguay económica para que Paraguay sea un país más rico, para que las personas, los ciudadanos de Paraguay tengan más oportunidades económicas de avanzar y a la misma vez hacerlo en cooperación con compañías e intereses norteamericanas que están dispuestos a invertir de manera responsable y de manera eficaz en la economía y ayudar también a crear empleos, trabajo, fuentes de ingresos, etcétera, para los ciudadanos de su país. Y encima de todo esto, seguir enseñando como no existe, tenemos uno de los aliados más fuertes que tenemos en el mundo y ciertamente en la región, es el país de Paraguay y su liderazgo político. Así, le doy la bienvenida y muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en el día de hoy.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, dear Secretary of State Marco Rubio, your commitment with our relation is quite important. 160 years of relation, diplomatic relation between Paraguay and the United States is going on the good way. This is the opportunity to express clearly our commitment to fight against the terrorist organization, the international or transnational crime organizations. We are very committed to the freedom, to the human rights, to the rule of law, and obviously with the freedom. The freedom is one of the most important steps in which we are working, because fighting against the terrorism is allowing our people to have a better life on freedom. This is an agreement that it will strengthen our relation not only on security, as you well expressed, dear Marco. It's going to allow us to work very close to building capacities, our security forces, and will allow us as well to be closer on our relation, on our strategy on development of security. Quiero agradecer expresamente, estimado Marco, al gobierno de Estados Unidos, al presidente Donald Trump. El presidente Santiago Peña está sumamente comprometido en seguir trabajando fuertemente en la relación de nuestros países, pero también en objetivos compartidos que, como este, nos proponen seguir luchando contra el crimen transnacional organizado, seguir trabajando fuertemente contra el tráfico de drogas, contra el tráfico de personas, contra la corrupción, que son todos aspectos relevantes. Pero por sobre todas las cosas, como decía antes, por la libertad de nuestra gente. Lo que está en riesgo no solamente la seguridad, es la libertad de las personas, y eso es lo que queremos asegurar totalmente, y este es un paso muy importante para ese propósito. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. Vamos a firmar.
Organizaciones terroristas en Colombia. Secretario, Nicolás Maduro dice que está listo para romperle los dientes a Estados Unidos. ¿Usted qué opina? Una respuesta a Nicolás Maduro, secretario, que ha salido con sombrero a bailar como burlándose de los Estados Unidos.
So we're taking a look at an event that happened just a short time ago while we were in breaking news coverage. This is Secretary of State Marco Rubio with the Foreign Minister of Paraguay as they signed an agreement to strengthen the ties between the two countries. Part of that was to fight terrorism. We are going to step away for our final break of the hour. We have a lot more coverage to come. Stay with us.